Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a quick 10-minute video or so on junk journaling. So I have been making junk journals for about 3 years now. My biggest influencer in terms of how I make my journals was definitely Nick the Booksmith. But I have made some other styles of junk journals as well, which I'm going to show you today. You don't have to have a high level of bookmaking skills to make a junk journal. You can make some very simple ones that will do the job. So very briefly, a junk journal is essentially a handmade book that is made out of old recycled paper. It could be scraps of paper, it could be old newspaper, old music paper, ledger paper, handmade papers, any kind of paper that you want to use, essentially, even paper bags. I've used paper bags in some of my junk journals as well. They can be hardcover or soft cover depending on how you want to make them. Today I'm just going to flick through how I use my junk journal, not how to make one, but I will be doing another video on making a junk journal. So I'm just going to show a few of the ones that I currently have. Some of my hardback ones, I don't have any of them. I've sold those. So this book I used for one of Helen at Journal with Purpose's challenges. She did a challenge in March for patterns. So I used this junk journal to sketch and paint lots of different patterns. It was a whole month of challenge, so you did it every single day. And you can see that is how I've used this particular journal. So there are many uses for junk journals. This is one of them, like a sketchbook or doodle book or something that you just want to capture some designs or things that you've seen that you like and that you might want to use in some of your other journals. Here I've used lots of things like stenciling, sketching, some watercolour, just ink drawings, many different media. So it's up to you, obviously, what kind of thing you want to use, and it depends on the paper as well that you have in your junk journal as to what it can withstand. So that's one travel TN size junk journal that I have. This one is one that I haven't really used yet. So this one is just made out of a hardboard card, quite a thick card, and I've just covered it in some paper, some scrapbook paper. It's actually bookbinding fabric tape that I've used for the spine on this one. I've used some leather strap for the closure, and you can see that I have actually put some pockets and some decoration inside this junk journal, and this is ready for me to start using when this one is full. So this is actually the very first junk journal that I made, and this is recycling an old vintage book cover. So the cover I did not make. This actually was, as it is, beautiful. It was a German book I think I got from an antique bookstore, and I pulled out, removed the insides. I've recycled the insides pages as well, and I used, I think I have about 3 signatures in this book, and it's made out of tea-dyed normal copy paper, music paper, old vintage book pages, all kinds of things. But I just wanted to show you a quick flick through as to what I've used my junk journal for. So this really is a journal that I don't use that often. I certainly don't use it daily. It might be once a week, or even once every 2 weeks. So there's no hard and fast rules with this one. Sometimes I write little quotes or little notes that I want to keep, or in some days I've just used it to journal, maybe how I've felt that day. But you can see that the pages are all decorated with vintage ephemera. Most junk journals have a fairly vintage theme to them. I've done some collaging, as you can see. That's my favourite thing, I think, is collaging. So I do quite a bit of that in all my journals. You can put little pockets and envelopes like this in there. This one has a quote tucked inside for January, and I started doing a kind of spread for each month. This is the January one, and this is February. On this little tag here, I wrote down all the things that I love, because it's the month of love. This is March, which has a spring theme with bees and even the honeycomb there. This is April's theme, which is more, again, spring. We've got some cherry blossom there. We've got the Easter theme coming in with the rabbit and the eggs there. And where I source my collaging material from various places. So whenever I'm out and about, especially in Europe, I would buy vintage books, vintage music score, that kind of thing. I buy greased food paper and I tea dye it. I try and make as much of this stuff as I can myself. I also use the internet a lot for sourcing graphics. There's a lot of free stuff there. You can subscribe as well to things like Graphics Fairy, but you really don't have to. There's lots of free stuff out there that you can just download and print. So there's a mixture on all my pages of collaging, rubber stamping, a bit of paint, and of course a bit of journaling. I also have used this journal to keep some of the things that I've been sent by pen pals in the past. So this is a good example. She sent me this lovely little booklet which was made out of vintage music paper and some tea-dyed paper. So I've even used that to do some journaling on, and then I keep that tucked in this little pocket here. So again, because you're using all different types of paper typically in a junk journal, sometimes it can actually be hard to find somewhere to write. So in that case, I usually stick some vintage note paper or vintage ledger paper in this case, like this, and I'll stick that onto the page and I'll write on that. And then you can add your decoration as well around it. You can also have privacy spots. So maybe if you're sharing your journaling work, but you don't necessarily want people to read what you've written, you can have these cards that flip back and forth that cover what you've written. So there's all these little spots you can find through here, which makes the whole experience of flicking through your journals every once in a while a lot more interesting. Again, here's some tags that I got sent by a pen pal. I got sent a little mini Zine by another pal, which I absolutely loved this, and so I've kept that in my journal there. I also embellish with stickers sometimes, and of course this is another collage. This is my May one, and in here I've got this little pocket and I've stamped secret on there, and inside there's some old money and there's a picture of my grandmother. So little tuck spots and secret places like that make your junk journal a lot more interesting and fun to flick through at a later stage. So this was my final page that I've been worked on. I wanted this to have a kind of expedition feel to it. I got some of these ephemera pieces from Nick the Booksmith, so that really fitted well with that theme. And these curiosity cabinet cards were lovely as well of hers. I also do some pre-printing on my journal pages. Excuse my dog barking. And I do this, I print on the pages before I tea dye. So I print my pages on the blank white paper, then I tea dye my pages before then, of course, putting them into the journal. So I've got lots of free pages left for some more journaling for this year. I suspect, because I don't use this that often, this will probably see me through to the end of the year. And then, of course, I got my other journal ready for when I finished. So that was just a quick flick through my junk journal. I hope you enjoyed that, and it's maybe inspired you to start your own junk journal, maybe even make one, or maybe just do some collaging. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.